it's Sunday on the boat, and if you can hear, the wind has finally picked up. It was like dead calm all this morning when we were working on doing some fiberglass work, glassing the blocks into the hull. So if you have the gunnel here and the hull here, we glass them in for the beams to go on top of so I can put my new deck in. I'm letting some of the epoxy harden a little bit, and while I do that, I'm doing some work on the computer. So that's what I'm up to today. I know a little bit later we'll have to like cut off some of the excess fiberglass, but hopefully it'll be good.
Hello and welcome to my Girl's Guide to Fiberglassing. I'm making this video because when I looked for fiberglassing tutorials, it was all men, and sometimes it's nice to see someone that looks like you do what you want to do. I'm starting out with a grinder to grind away any old paint to get to bare fiberglass or wood. That way I don't have any problems with the epoxy or fiberglass adhering to whatever I'm working with. After you do that, you want to make sure you vacuum up any excess particles or anything like that, and I also wiped the area down with solvent to make sure it was really clean. Once your area is prepped and ready, you want to suit up so you can start mixing your epoxy. I'm using a 2-part epoxy by Total Boat that has equal parts of resin and hardener. I'm wearing a respirator because I'm working with Cabasil today. Cabasil I'm using to thicken the epoxy, that way it's easier to work with and it acts more as a glue. This stuff will scar up your lungs, so you want to make sure that you're protected from any of the little particles that get into the air when you're working with this, because it is a lot. You want to make sure that you mix everything really well until it thickens up in a consistency that I can only describe as a yeasty discharge. It's kind of gross, super thick, little chunky, nobody likes it. Then you're going to spread some across the top of your block and whatever surface you're adhering it to and squish it down. After that, you're going to do something called filleting. Filleting is where you smooth out the edges around the joint which you're attaching them, so that way it's easier to lay the fiberglass. I'm just smoothing it out with a popsicle stick, but there are other tools that you can get. All of the fiberglassing tools that I'm using, I will have linked in my Amazon storefront, linked in the description below. While the block's set with the thickened epoxy, I'm mixing some regular resin and painting it over some fiberglass tape that I already pre-cut for my blocks. As this is going, you want to work quickly and brush any excess resin over the area that you're adhering the glass to, and then pull the tape over and set it into that joint. Don't worry about any excess or strings because you'll cut them off later. It's no big deal. Once you have all of your pieces set, you want to take some more epoxy resin on your paintbrush and just stipple it in to that area. You'll see little white spots that signify that it's air bubbles, so you just want to basically press those out with the resin on your brush. And after that, you just let it sit for a couple hours until it's leather hard and you can trim off any excess, and then wait a day and sand off anything else that you couldn't get with the knife. It's only my second time fiberglassing, and I'm sure things aren't perfect, but it works. So I'm done. Just kidding, but I had you fooled. Work on a boat is never done. Here's my neighbor he came by to help me cut larger holes for my new solar vents that took the place of my cowl vents. I absolutely love them. They work really, really well. I also used a jigsaw for the first time this week, which was something that I was really nervous about, but I ended up cutting all of my planking for my forward starboard deck, so I was super excited. Karen finally got back, which was great because I found out that my granddad passed away, which was really sad, so it was nice to have her here.
So overall, it's been good having Karen back. And yeah, we've been moving along. We sanded and faired the hatches and put a coat of primer on, so that's looking good. That's prepped for paint. And then the deck still needs to be screwed in, but we cut and oiled all the planking and it looks really good and it feels really good and it's really good, right Karen?
It's wonderful.
How do you feel after your shower?
Wonderful.
Ready to go have a little snacky snack with Danny the Irishman?
Yes, I am.
Alrighty. So that concludes this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time.
If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to like and subscribe. And if you'd like to help out the journey a little bit more, head over to shesailsolo.com or check the description for links to my Patreon. I'd love the extra support. Until next time, fair winds and happy sailing.